Hello, my dear students of class 4. I am your Shreya ma'am and I am here with your English 2 class. Students, I think you all remember that we were still left with the last part of your chapter, Marie Curie. I hope you all have done extremely well in your unit tests. And now again we have to move towards our syllabus for half-yearly examination. And this chapter is there in your half-yearly examination. So we have to complete the chapter today. But yes, I really know that you have forgotten what was there in the chapter. What did we read in the last few weeks before your exam? So today I'll try to recapitulate the entire chapter once more, and then I'll enter the new part, that is the last part of the entire thing. Students, this video is related to your lesson notes which you will get on 30th of September. So please read the chapter and refer to the lesson notes. Along with that, please listen to my explanation. Then you will find that it's very easy to understand. So let's start. Chapter number 8, Marie Curie. Let's read the chapter together. The Sklodowska family studied together in the evenings so that the parents, who were both teachers, could help the children. Who were the children? Zosia, Bronya, Hela and Josio. How would the parents help them? The parents would help them with their homework. Władysław Sklodowski had a huge appetite for learning and made sure his children grew up with a respect for education. One evening, as her 7-year-old sister Bronya stumbled over a passage she had to read aloud, Władysław and Bronislava's youngest child, 3.5-year-old Mary, or Manya as she was called at home, picked up her older sister's book. Taking up from the point where Bronya had left off, she began reading fluently, effortlessly from the textbook, completely unaware of the astonished expressions of her family members. When she looked up, she saw the almost horrified look on the faces of her parents and siblings. She grew frightened and burst into tears. "I did not do that on purpose," she said, explaining her action. "It was just so easy." So from this part, children, we can get to know that Manya, yes, that is Mary's pen name. She was called Manya at home. So Manya or Marie Curie, she was very much talented from her very childhood, from the age of 3 years. Okay, let's proceed. When Mary was born on November 7, 1867, her mother was the headmistress of one of Warsaw's girls' schools adjoining their home. Mary, who was the youngest of 5 children, would often see her mother struggling with the work of running a big household as well as the school. During these years, the house had many guests. One of these guests was Władysław's brother, who came to live with them when he was ill. What happened to that person? Yes, try to remember. He had tuberculosis, and we read that tuberculosis was not treatable. That means there was no treatment for tuberculosis, and people used to suffer. Many people used to die of tuberculosis, and it was such a disease that the person who is trying to heal the affected patient also gets affected. At the same time, it's infectious. Yes. He had tuberculosis, a disease that spreads mainly through the germ-infected air when somebody who already has the disease coughs or sneezes. Unfortunately, this disease afflicted Mary's mother. The disease was then incurable, managed by a series of rest and recuperation treatments in places where the climate was not so cold. As a result, Mary's mother often had to be away from her at a sanatorium where only Mary's older sister Zosia could go with her. When Mary was 9, her sister Zosia died of typhus. But the greatest tragedy of young Mary's life occurred when her mother died a few months before her 11th birthday. So children, here we get to see that Mary faced several tragedies in her life regarding the death of her family members. What happened? Her mother, her sister, they all died of diseases which were incurable. There was no treatment, only rest, to be sent to the hospital, and there also they had to take rest. There was no such treatment. So she grew up seeing these tragedies. What was the effect of that? Yes. Afterwards, Mary and her sisters would often play a make-believe game about a genius doctor who finds a miracle cure for a serious illness. So that means from the very childhood, this was there in Mary's mind that she had to do something to get a solution to these incurable diseases. Mary's dream of using science and medicine to help humanity was rooted in her encounter with tragedy very early in life. So till this much, I hope you can remember and recognize. Please read the chapter carefully and then listen to the next part of the chapter. Let's read it. The foundation of Mary's later learning was laid in her childhood by her father's diligent efforts to teach his children Greek, Latin, Russian, Polish, French, German and English. So just imagine, Mary's father was so enthusiastic and so much involved in his children's studies and education that he taught his children different languages from a very childhood. And thereafter, in the later half of her life, Marie Curie was so brilliant and she was so much an educated personality. She knew different languages, she loved to study, she learned different languages, she had immense knowledge. How did Mary's father teach Mary and her siblings different languages? How did he teach? Let's read it. By reading to them, besides sharing with them books on physics and chemistry. Mary took so naturally to learning and reading that her parents tried to prevent her premature development by distracting her with outings and boisterous games. Now, as a little child, Mary was always engrossed in her studies. She used to study, she used to learn, she used to read, and she used to have a very monotonous life. And according to the parents, rather according to a child's psychology, you all need some time to play, some time to enjoy yourself, some time to go to some different place and enjoy, to see the beauty there, to see the beauty of nature. But Mary did not have these things in her life. She loved to study all the time. So what did her parents try to do? Her parents tried to bring her out of the house. They planned for different outings for Marie Curie. And even some boisterous games. What does the word boisterous mean? Boisterous means something very energetic. So some energetic games which would involve Marie Curie. Apart from her studies, she'll get involved into all those activities which can keep her childhood alive. That was the thought of her parents. Okay. During Mary's childhood, Poland was occupied by Russian forces. Children, you know that India was once occupied by the British forces. The British ruled in India. In the same way, Poland was occupied by Russian forces. When she began studying in the private school of Miss Sikorska, there were periodic inspections by Russian inspectors to see if the children were being taught Russian. So to learn Russian language was very important during that time. Just like the British asked us to learn English language, in the same way the Russian people asked every person in Poland to learn the Russian language. So in a private school where Mary used to study, there something important happened. What happened? Russian inspectors used to come and they used to inspect whether every children is getting proper Russian education. They're learning the Russian language properly or not. So this was a very important day for the school as well. When the inspector would come, they had to prove that our school is doing good. The children are all very much learned in the Russian language. They're good and well spoken, well versed in Russian language. But to be very true, no one in the school was that much well versed in Russian apart from Mary, because from very childhood, as I told you earlier, Mary's father taught his children every bit of languages, like every different kinds of languages. So Russian was there itself, and so Mary was well versed in that language. Let's see what happens. It was forbidden to teach the children in Polish, their own mother tongue. So Polish is the language of Poland. So Polish is the mother tongue of the people of Poland. Like Bengali is our mother tongue or Hindi is our mother tongue. In the same way, Polish language was their mother tongue. In the same way, what happened there? The Russian people said that no, you will not learn Polish. No education will be provided in Polish, but you have to learn Russian language. But the teachers did just that. Teachers preferred to teach a child or every child there in the school in the Polish language. Why? Because obviously the language which they knew by birth would help them to learn and know different subjects, different lessons much more variably. In a very different way they could have learned very easily. But a foreign language, Russian language, how could this language help them in that purpose, to solve that purpose? So the teachers preferred to teach them in Polish. Mary's teacher, Antonine Tupalska, knew Mary's flawless grasp of anything that was taught to her. Flawless means where there is no mistake. So Mary was so very intelligent and so very skilled that she had that power to grasp anything and everything that was taught to her. And her teacher knew it. When the inspectors arrived to check the students' knowledge of the Russian language and history, Mary Sklodowska was always put forward as the example to be interrogated by the inspector. So, Mary used to represent the entire school. Every child there, they were not put forward, but Mary was put forward because of her knowledge of Russian language. She spoke flawless Russian and answered all the questions put to her. But the effort sometimes proved to be too great a strain on Mary. Yes, it was quite hectic for Mary. Just imagine a huge school, so many classes, so many children are studying there. But only Mary had to single-handedly represent everyone in the school. So this was a huge pressure for Mary, and she had to be successful. After each such ordeal means a painful experience, Mary would weep in the arms of Miss Tupalska, her nerves exhausted by the effort of covering up for the whole school. So she used to get tired. She had to represent the entire school, and this was very difficult for little Mary. So she used to get exhausted. After her mother and eldest sister's deaths, it had been Mary's sister Bronya. You remember Bronya, the one who could not read the chapter, and Mary had to read it for her? In a very little age, when Mary read that portion of the chapter which Bronya was fumbling, you remember Bronya? Yes. So Mary's sister Bronya, who had taken over the responsibility of looking after the family, and yet Bronya managed to complete her schooling by being the topmost student of the school. So Bronya was extremely educated and she was extremely knowledgeable. She was skillful and talented as well. She took the entire responsibility of her household, her family, after the death of their mother and the eldest sister, Zosia. So now what's happening? Bronya is taking up the responsibilities and she is studying as well. The two things are going sideways. So now, can you imagine, is it possible? Can you do it? Can you take the entire responsibility of your family, cook for your parent and the other brothers and sisters in your house, for your grandparents, and then arrange their clothes and then take care when anyone is sick and then study? Is it so easy? No. But Bronya did it. She was extremely talented and she had shown so brilliantly that she became the topmost student of her school. As her sister, Mary felt an immense pressure. It was an intense pressure for Mary now, because since Bronya had the capacity to shine so brilliantly, now Mary had to be up to the mark. Mary felt an intense pressure to do similarly well and applied herself in the last 5 years of school to her studies. When she graduated from school at the age of 15, remember, at the age of 15, Marie Curie graduated from school. She earned herself a gold medal as the best student. So this is extremely great, and obviously you can imagine how much happy her father would be, how much happy she was at that time, because she had coped up with all the tragedies of her life and she had also shone brilliantly, just like Bronya, her sister. So children, this is your chapter. This is all about Marie Curie, which you are learning right now. Please refer to my explanation, listen to this video and read the explanation provided in your lesson plan. Along with that, read the chapter as well. Please write the answers to the questions given in the worksheet. Remember to write the answers aptly. Take the informations from your book and write the answers. There you will get in your worksheet, there is also a part where you will get the word meaning and antonym. 2 word meanings are there and 2 antonyms. Please write the meanings and antonyms in your classwork exercise book along with the 3 questions. So today, this much. We will again meet in our revision classes. Keep on learning. Bye-bye.